This clip of Gazans celebrating the recent ceasefire with Israel.
הודנה, הפסקת אש זמנית. כך מקפידים לכנות בחמאס את הפסקת האש, שנועדה כמובן מבחינתם לאגור כוחות ונשק למאבק הבא בישראל. מצלמת i24 News צילמה עבורנו ברצועת עזה באופן מיוחד את התגובות להסכם ואת החוגגים שהמשיכו להצהיר על נאמנות לחמאס, לראשיו שחוסלו על ידי ישראל במלחמה ולמפקדו הנוכחי מוחמד סינואר.
Khaybar, Ya Yehud, Yaish Muhammad, Sufa Yaud. The chant Khaybar, Khaybar, O the Jews, the army of Muhammad will return. This is a chant that is heard at anti-Israel demonstrations all over the world. Now, what does it mean? Khaybar is the name of a Jewish community from the 7th century that was massacred by Muhammad and his militias at the time. Over 90 Jews were murdered in this slaughter. And today, these jihadist demonstrators chant Khaybar, Khaybar al-Yahud as a way of saying that their struggle right now is an extension of that genocidal attack by Muhammad and his followers. You see, Hamas's founding charter actually calls for the death of all Jews in the world. And what you're seeing here is in the celebration of the ceasefire, these residents of Gaza are not breathing a sigh of relief that they can now rebuild their lives. They're not second-guessing their support for Hamas and saying maybe we should take a different direction that doesn't lead to utter destruction. No, no. These Gazans are proudly declaring that they are the soldiers of Mohammed Def. Mohammed Def was the leader of the Hamas military wing, the Izz ad-Din al-Qassam brigades, the brutal terrorists. These young men in Gaza are declaring that they want to continue the genocidal attacks against the Jews in the tradition of Khaybar and as followers of the terrorist Mohammed Def. That's what this ceasefire means to the people of Gaza. Now check out this clip of the head of the Hamas negotiating team talking about the implications of the ceasefire deal.
ראש צוות המשא ומתן מטעם חמאס חליל חיה נשא נאום שהבהיר ישראל עשתה עסקה עם השטן.
ما حدث في 7 من أكتوبر من إعجاز وإنجاز عسكري وإنجاز أمني قامت به نخبة القسام سيبقى مفخرة لشعبنا ومقاومتنا تتناقله الأجيال جيلا بعد جيل.
We don't regret October 7th. October 7th, the massacre of over 1,200 Israelis and the rape of many more and the taking of hostages and all the atrocities that were committed by Hamas was a miracle. It was a day that will live in glory for future generations to talk about. You see, the people of Gaza, the Palestinians, do not regret what happened on October 7th. They do not regret the destruction that has befallen them. They view this war as a victory. They view it as a victory not because their cities now lie in ruins and there are so many casualties. No, no, no. They view it as a victory because they managed to slaughter over 1,200 Israelis, to take hostages, to terrorize Israel, and they remain standing. That is a victory for them, and this is now the time for them to plan for the next attacks. Khaybar, Khaybar, al-Yahud. That's what this ceasefire is about for the people of Gaza. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, how is this ever going to change? How are we ever going to achieve peace? How could you ever get a population that is overtaken by a genocidal ideology to change the way that it thinks? The truth is, there are two examples in the 20th century of societies that were overtaken by evil genocidal ideologies that changed and became rather friendly, benign nations. And here is none other than Secretary of State Anthony Blinken just a few days ago in a speech to the Atlantic Council about the Middle East, talking about exactly that.
One of the things I believe strongly, Fred, from my own experience over the last 30 years and looking at the sweep of history, is that there's no such thing as a hereditary enemy, that we are not fated to conflict or animosity. And even what seem to be the most virulent and violent hatreds can go away, can change. These last 4 years, probably two of our closest partners, have been Germany and Japan. Not very long ago, it was a very different world. We take that for granted. We shouldn't. We need to be reminded of that, motivated by that, because it tells us that none of this is fated or predetermined. We have the capacity to change. We have the capacity to build peace, to find lasting security. But it takes will. It takes hard choices, hard decisions, risk.
Now, Secretary of State Blinken is absolutely right. Germany and Japan, two societies that were overtaken by evil ideologies in World War II, now today are rather benign Western or Western-friendly nations. It's true, an evil, psychotic, genocidal ideology that's overtaken a population can be removed. But how was it removed, Secretary of State Blinken? How did Germany and Japan change from being overtaken by genocidal, psychotic ideologies to become peaceful Western nations? You know how? They were defeated. They were unequivocally defeated when a people that has embraced an evil way of thinking sees their leaders on their knees surrendering when they cannot interpret the war as anything but an utter defeat. That's when they start to change the way they think. That's when they start to question the ideology that led them here. So long as their leadership remains in power, so long as there's any opening for them to declare victory, the ideology is not defeated. The only way to bring these people who have embraced a genocidal ideology to change the way they think is to have them experience unequivocal defeat. When Israel defeats its enemies, when Israel brings its enemies to its knees, when these people see their leaders surrendering in defeat, only then can we hope for them to have a change of heart. That, Tony Blinken, is the message of Germany and Japan. That's the message. Rather than trying to negotiate premature ceasefires that grant victory to the enemy, we need to be giving Israel everything it needs to completely defeat its enemies. And then and only then will there be peace in the Middle East.